All right, everybody. Welcome to the Values-Based Mindset Experience. My name is Mike Garrison. I'm your faithful host and mad scientist. And today we have Matt Churchill, our lead lab rat. Matt, introduce yourself.
Yes, I think you did a great job, Matt Churchill. I'm the chief chimpanzee at Values-Based Mindset. Whatever you're afraid to test on the general public, you just test on me, and then let me heal up and do it again.
It's a true story. So if anybody has seen, Matt is episode 1. Because I said, hey, Matt, I got this great new system you got to try. And it literally was brand new because I never shared it with anyone else except Matt until that day that we started on it. So today we're going to talk about something that seems like clickbait, but just hang in there. So I'm just going to take a position, and we already argued even before this thing started. I was like, I don't want you to give any shit about something else. And he's like, no promises. Is that a direct? No promises. So hang in there. Hang in there with us. So here, my take is this: running is not only not required in the value-based mindset experience, it's not even encouraged. That it has no place in a values-based mindset. Matt, what do you say?
I have a similar perspective. Mine is, if you can't run 26 miles, you're a pansy, and you should be ashamed of a pansy.
So let me first by saying, if I want to run 26 miles, I can do
it. Over how many days? I mean,
that was not like, see, now you're getting into conditions and time.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I can run 26 miles, be a mile a day for 26 days. No, I've done a half. I've done a half marathon at speed. So I know I can do a marathon. I just
right.
want to do it.
And I just, for full disclosure, I've run one marathon. And, that experience sucked enough to where I said, I think I've checked the box. I'm never doing that crap again. And then I got down to sort of half marathons and we can talk in a little bit about kind of where I'm at today. But no, I mean, I would say that running for me is absolutely essential for some very specific reasons. However, I don't think that it's essential for everybody under certain circumstances. And I don't like to run doesn't qualify as one of those circumstances in my book.
Incorrect. I don't like to run, and that means it's a bad circumstance. But so let's talk about this, because the real thing is this: running isn't a value. Running is one of the ways that you can express or train performance within a value. And that's really what, if you're listening to anything Matt and I share on this and future ranting episodes, we're about performance and expression of your values, living intentionally, designing an excellent life that's based upon who and what you believe in. And so I will say this is like, the reason I don't think running is something that I would encourage anyone to do is because it's how to become a professional retreater. But no, sorry, that was a cheap shot. No, it's because running.
Some of us run towards the fight, Mike.
But some of us are already there.
We want to get there as quickly as possible.
Like, if you have to run, you were not prepared. Like, the fight will occur when I want it to. I'm not going to be late to the party. That's all I'm saying, right?
What happens is you're running because that piece of crap government equipment broke down. That's the only way you're going to get there.
Yeah, don't get me started. That's the advantage of being airborne is like, we just, like, as long as the rubber band works, we're okay.
Yeah, there's something that's not essential, jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. But I'm not a military guy, so I'm not going to comment on any of that.
I would agree, but it's pretty bitching. I mean,
it's pretty cool. To say you've done it is pretty free and survived it. But
yeah,
that's a great segue into one of the reasons why you don't run, quite frankly.
Well, I was afraid that you would say that. This is the danger of doing podcasts and having a co-host that's one of your best friends that has, shall we say, extensive access behind the curtain. So yes, my knees are absolutely destroyed to some degree from doing a lot of parachute jumps, but also from doing winter alpine mountaineering, from a running thing. So I would say this is like, running's not a value. Endurance is a value.
I would agree with that. I would agree. Cardiovascular endurance is a key element, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many well-studied people on this topic, that you should possess if you want to be all-around physically fit.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that cardiovascular, if you want to be strong, cardiovascular fitness is a component of that, and you can lift, like doing heavy weightlifting, which is what I really value, right?
Right.
Especially heavy squatting. That's just the only reason I say that, friends, is because Matt currently has a better deadlift than I do. But I'm okay.
Not a better squat by far.
That's all right. Well, that's because you have no ass. But anyways, so the point being is, like, a lot of people, the only reason we picked on running is we knew it would be controversial. Like, running is a high skill activity. It's a high skill activity, and it has the highest rate of injury of any sport out there, because people think that running is an effort sport, and it's not. And so when we're doing a values-based mindset and we're looking at the different aspects of, let's just call it fitness, right? Not health, fitness. We'll address health a little bit later, right? Probably another podcast, because we could go really hard.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, we got to keep this. Yeah, we got to condense this so we can go lots of different places.
So this is just fitness. The problem with running is this: is if you don't know how to run well, if you don't have the appropriate skill, you are increasing the variable of risk at what I would consider to be an unacceptable percentage. Right. So, but most people think I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to go running. And I'm like, no, you're going to go get injured. Right. Now, if running something that you're good at, like you have that skill and you're overweight, I still think you should think carefully about running as being the foundation of fitness. What do you say?
So I say there's a dichotomy there. And I don't disagree with anything you said. However, the dichotomy is this, is that the very thing that makes running potentially dangerous because of the injury situation is the very thing that makes running fantastic for people who are not currently fit but want to get fit. And that's the accessibility of running. If you don't have any major limiting factors, no injuries, no body morphology issues, everybody can run to some
degree.
And no
money.
And no money, right? You don't need much. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, people think they need to go out and spend $200 on a pair of shoes. When I got started in running, I did not have a fitness program at all. I had lost weight primarily through diet and haphazard exercise, elliptical. I'm ashamed of that. I don't want to talk about that. That's another podcast for another day, but I spent a lot of time on the damn elliptical.
Making notes.
I still have nightmares about that. But one of the things that got me into this was that, my mother-in-law and father-in-law had bought me a pair of shoes, a pair of Asics, and they just, as a birthday present, they were like, oh, he needs new sneakers, we'll get him a pair of Asics. And I recognized those and identified them as running shoes. And, people around me were running. It was very cool to be a runner at this time. This is, probably 12 years ago or so. And I said, I got these Asics, they're running shoes. I'm going to go run. And I, started off running a mile. And then my wife and I decided to train for a 5K. She got pregnant and hurt her knee. Almost like simultaneously, and we don't need to talk about that, by the way.
Mandy, I didn't bring you up, Mandy.
And I kept going with the plan, man. And I ran my 5K. It was a Super G Roman 5K race, and I ran it. And I said, I'm going to go run a marathon, and that's exactly what I did. And here's the thing: it was very accessible. It got me into a fitness routine. It gave me a goal. I ended up running the marathon. I got down to about 165 pounds. And which is not a healthy weight for me. And I was very weak, but I was able to run a long distance. And I had finally achieved something that, because I was the kid in high school that was walking the mile. Okay. I couldn't run a mile in less than 15 minutes in high school. And this is the top of my, physical prowess, 17, 18 years old. And so I finally achieved something, and it gave me this spark, which is what led me to where I am today. Now, having said that, I ran injury free for the first year, 2 years. And then all of a sudden it was like,
rare. That's rare.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it was because I sat on the couch for the first 30 years of my life and didn't use my body. So I had fresh limbs, fresh joints,
The cartilage was good.
Right. Yeah. Drinking beer and eating Cheetos and watching movies doesn't require a lot of, wear and tear on the joints. But, so I did run injury free for a good while. And I can remember hearing people talk about it, and I'm like, I don't know what these guys are talking about. And then it was an IT band, and it was plantar fasciitis, and it was a knee problem. And it was, and that's when I finally realized, maybe strength training might be a good thing to do to help me with my running. And, now I've become more, I would say, I'm really not a runner in terms of, mileage per week. I'm much more in the strength and conditioning camp these days. But I do think there's a dichotomy. So the accessibility makes it great, helps people get on track, helps them find fitness. Finding fitness is fantastic. As soon as you find running, you should find a coach that knows how to run correctly and can teach you the proper method, because Mike is correct. There is a skill set to running that if you don't follow it, you're going to end up with all types of problems. And the human body is a very unique and wonderful thing, because if you injure your toe, it's going to end up in your hip. It's going to end up in your lower back. It's going to end up in your shoulders. I mean, it's
thoracic.
It just happens. And so you gotta, find a coach. I particularly subscribe to the pose method.
Yes.
I have found that to be
run. Like if you got to run the pose method. I always say this, like, if you want to convince me that you know how to run, do it without shoes on.
Yep.
Right. Cause shoes for exercise are a recent convention. I don't care what Nike told you, right? Nike, I think, is responsible for more injuries than any other company in the history of the world, because more people got hurt using these waffle sole, shoes than anybody else. So my point being, but here's the thing about running. See, running for me doesn't represent fitness at all. Running represents a component of fitness because it's what we call monostructural. You will only get good at running. You will not get stronger. You will not develop any of the other aspects of fitness through running. So you got to do something else. The other side of it is, if you do serious weight training, not bro flex, but real weight training, you will get cardiovascular benefit. It's not the same level as you get in running, but you will get a cardiovascular benefit that is significantly more than being sedentary. Yeah. And you get the massive anaerobic benefits, the joint if you do it well, because once again, skill, right? Real weightlifting, as we both know, serious skill component. But I would say hands down, weight training, just straight weight training, if you're lifting for strength, we're not talking about steroids and doing Ripitos, gallon of milk and all this craziness, but like strength training, if you can only do one thing, I think you get more for the time, not slamming running. Because for me, cardiovascular, I prefer something worse than running.
Yeah.
Right.
But see, even that though, I mean, you're talking about the devil bike,
the assault bike.
The assault bike, which is just a horrible device that some sadistic person invented.
But it's $1,000.
And I love the damn thing. Yeah, it's expensive. Well, it wasn't expensive 10 years ago. You could pick those things up for, $300 10 years ago. And then CrossFit came along and now everybody wants one.
Schwinn Airdyne.
Yeah, the original Schwinn Airdyne was, and it's still, I still use it. The YMCA has a few of those, and I'll tell you, that thing's a beast. But, I think that's a great point, Mike, because, the thing is, people say running, and maybe what they really mean is they mean some form of low intensity cardiovascular exercise. And so real quickly, how do I use running today? Because my whole fitness philosophy has evolved to where I think about it in terms of not how big my muscles are or any of that kind of stuff. Is really how useful of a human being am I at 43 years old? Can I move a couch if he needs help moving a couch? Can I pick up my kid when we're hiking and sling him over my shoulder and get him out of the woods because he fell and broke his ankle? And that's a 5-mile hike, with a 60-pound kid. You had
a better chance with Edward than William doing that.
Yeah, well, Edward's only 40 pounds, and I did hike Edward for 4 miles up to this place called the Cascades, which was a 4-mile sort of round trip, and he wanted to be carried, and I carried him. And you know what? But here's the thing, and this is a great example. So I carried the kid the whole way, and one of the people we were hiking with made a comment. He said, "Man, I can't believe that you're not dying right now. You've been carrying that kid for an hour." And I wasn't breathing heavy, and I said, it's other than, a little uncomfortable with all my shoulders and whatnot. I'm like, it's really not, it's not a cardiovascular problem. I could do this all day. And the reason I could do it all day is because I do focus on that cardiovascular component, and I use running to do that. Now, when I say running, I'm not talking about going out and doing 10 miles. I'm talking about going out and doing 3 miles, maybe 5 miles, every now and then I might push it to 7 if I'm feeling froggy and my legs are fresh. But unless I'm training for a race, and I don't usually race more than a 10K these days anyway, I'm doing trail races and they're 10Ks. Unless I'm training for like a half marathon, which I might do once a year, there's no reason to run any more than that. That's enough economy, cardiovascularly speaking. And it aids in recovery with the weight training if, and this is a big if, and this is where people screw it up. This is where they screw it up. They run at a heart rate that is somewhere between the Airdyne bike you're describing and walking. And so it's no man's land. You don't get any kind of cardiovascular benefit. It just beats the crap out of you. If you can't breathe through your nose the entire time you're out there,
you're going too hard.
You're pushing yourself too hard. If you want to go hard, then sprint.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say about it. It's like when you look at what am I doing, right? So I've lost a lot of weight last 3 or 4 years, and I've gotten a hell of a lot stronger, right?
And you haven't run a step.
Well, I a couple times, and then I paid for it, right? I just basically, I've got a knee. They said when I was 40, I should get it replaced from jumping. So I've got no cartilage. Running for me is a high risk activity, which I say for people trying to kidnap my family,
Right.
or saving somebody. And I can sprint, but like, so the 3 things that I do, and I'm not going to get too specific. The 3 things I do is resistance training, right? Mm-hmm. And I love powerlifting, right? That's a big passion of mine, getting ready to do my first meet in, I think, February of 2021. I'm not doing anything like that in 2020. I just can't afford to. Like, right? Why would I want
2020 anyway?
Yeah. So I do serious training where I'm measuring and tracking everything. I do long, slow distance, but not that long. And the 2 forms I use, depending upon how my knee feels that day, is walking, right, for 20 to 30 minutes, or on the assault bike or my mountain bike. And then at least once a week, I sprint with purpose and insanity, right? Not intensity, insanity. Because what people don't do enough is they don't sprint. Would you agree?
I would 100% agree with that. And I think if you sprint much more than once or twice a week, you're probably not, at our age, you're not sprinting, or you're an elite athlete. Because if you're doing it right, it should take a serious amount of recovery for both your central nervous system and your body.
Well, it's like, the one that I had you do when you visited my garage gym, right?
Yeah.
10 minutes of training and only 10 seconds per every minute of exercise. Was it sufficient?
Yeah, it was absolutely sufficient. And it left me not destroyed, but it certainly left me knowing I had done something. And we had squatted right before that. And that's my favorite way to do it, quite frankly, is so like today I sprinted in the morning because that's when I had time to do that. And I do hill sprints because I'm old and beat up and I can't afford to pop a hamstring. So I run as hard as I can up a hill, which limits my ability to get too fast. And then I did, squats and bench press at lunchtime to cover the strength component. So I'm good right now. I'm feeling plenty stimulated at this point in the day, and I'll need a few days to come back from that. Now, what will I do in that few days? And this is where running comes in. I may run 3 miles, maybe 4 if I'm feeling okay, but it's not going to be at a blistering pace. It's going to be at a 9-minute mile, which for me is about, kind of middle of the road. I may, if I'm not feeling up to it, throw a 20-pound weight vest on and go for an hour walk. Probably a better option actually than running, because it's going to get my heart rate up, but not too far. And it's going to fill in, it's going to give blood flow to the areas that need to be recovered. It's not going to hit my CNS at all.
You're going to get some bone density, some soft tissue. As long as you're not doing too much, you get a massive benefit from that.
And here's the other thing I want to make sure I say too, for all my fellow homeboys and homegirls out there who struggle with some cognitive challenges. So one of the things that I struggle with is adult ADHD. It's not a huge deal. I can manage it. I'm fortunate that I don't have to manage it right now with medication. But one of the things that is a key component to it, other than protein, is low intensity cardiovascular, whether it be running or walking.
As long as you don't hit that threshold.
Yeah, as long as I'm not going too hard. Because if I go too hard, like I went hard today and I haven't been able to focus on work much today. I've been able to react to a few things, maybe email, but not really sit down and get hardcore focused on, a project. And the thing is if I go for a nice, easy 3-4 mile run first thing in the morning, I'm going to be great that day. If I hit some kettlebells and I stay within the prescribed boundaries, I'm going to be great that day. But days where I sprint or days where I lift very, very heavy, I know I'm going to pay a price cognitively for that, because it does, for people who have that issue, it affects you differently. And I can't say enough about, the brain-derived neurotropic factor and all the scientific crap that people talk about that I'm not smart enough to know about, but I know that's what it produces in your brain and the level of endorphins. It helps with focus. If people would just slow down and go for a nice walk or go for a run.
Totally. Ideally outside. Oxygen.
Yes.
No plastic.
F a treadmill. A treadmill is for when you absolutely can't, because there's a monsoon and your name isn't David Goggins, and so you need to do something. That's what a treadmill is for. And it should happen like once a month maybe.
I was very fortunate in the military to be in support of a Green Beret unit. So I got a Green Beret, jumped out of planes, and I got to watch real heroes. Like I'll never forget one of those A-team guys, like the tabbies that are going on missions to bad places. It was like raining. I was like, oh, it's raining. I don't know. And it's like, you're not water soluble. Shut the bleep up and get out there. And I'm like, yes, Sergeant. There's clarity that other people can bring. But my thing is, like, when we talk about weight, I'm 52, high mileage. Did a lot of stuff, done a lot of stuff, been very fortunate to have had a lot of physical experiences. Like, my program's different from yours because I just don't have as much capacity. When you look at, like, my rubber band's got some nicks in it and stuff like that. And what I struggle with is depression. And one of the things that you've been helping me with, Matt's kind of my accountability partner. One of the things Matt's really helped me with this year is understanding that me going out and doing something that I really semi-enjoy, which is like 2.5 hour, 3 hour death march mountain bike ride, right? And the short-term mental benefit I get from being able to overcome that and do something astronomical, I now know inevitably leads to serious depression and an inability to cognitively function. I had the genetic testing done with my doctor, and he basically said, hey, man, you don't have the genetic makeup to very successfully do endurance sports. He goes, I'm not saying you can't do it, because he knows me.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not saying you can't do it because you're stubborn. What I am saying is that you're made for lifting heavy weights and sprinting. That is your thing, and building muscle. And he said, and I've adjusted all my training, and it's been hard for me. We're just a month or two into this new philosophy, but my values-based mindset says to me that cognitive performance, the ability to control my emotions, the ability to perform as a husband, as a father, as a coach, as a businessman, that is far more valuable to me than short-term, like, oh, I went out for 2.5 hours. Who cares?
So it's really, and I was, while we're talking, I had to Google it because I couldn't remember the name of the gene, but I had genetic testing done as well. I've got the ACTN3 gene, which is the power, they call it the power gene. It's the gene that you would find in people who do, sprinting. And I love it, like, because when you get it on 21andMe or 23andMe or however many
23andMe.
Have 23andMe, they've got they call it the elite athlete gene. It doesn't mean you're going to be an elite athlete, by the way.
That's correct. I got the same thing. It doesn't.
You have a similar gene, yeah. Because I saw that and I was like, well, crap, I should sign up for the Olympics now. And to your doctor's point, I absolutely, and I'm a medium frame guy. So, if you do the old, fingers around the wrist test, they touch, but I can't overlap. So I'm medium frame.
Not me.
You're a large frame dude. So you can put on some serious muscle. I can put on some okay muscle.
Yeah, but yours looks bigger than mine when you put it on.
Well, maybe. I mean, it just depends. Like, it would help if, like, I wasn't 43 and my testosterone wasn't falling off a cliff at this age. But,
Like, be quiet, 52.
but did I run a marathon? Absolutely, I ran a marathon. Even though genetically that's not supposed to be what I'm optimally engineered to do, I did it. I will tell you, it hurt and it sucked, and I damn near thought I was going to die at the end of it. But I got it done. It didn't walk, mind you. I ran the entire way. And that was sort of the first indication. That was long before 23andMe, where I went, maybe I'm not built for endurance sports. And, you made a comment earlier about people think about it's all about, in your mind and pushing yourself, and, they don't really realize there's skill involved. Ultra marathons have become the cool thing because of the David Goggins story, right? Everybody wants to go run the Moab 250, or they want to go run Badwater.
Not this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to Rich Roll and David and a lot of these other guys, and I go, man, I would love to do that. Like that, what a way to show that you've got a mind that can push past any limit by forcing your body to run 100 miles in the heat of summer in a desert. Here's the reality of the situation. The difference between doing something like that or deadlifting 600 pounds, or, being able to do a CrossFit workout like Fran in under 3 minutes, it's all about what do you want? What are you optimally set up to do? And, what's important to what are your values based on now? What are the things, if you're me and you're a dad and you're a professional banker and you're, just a regular dude who spends as much time at Kroger as I do at the gym or Cub Scouts or whatever, I'm effectively, I'm one part drill sergeant, one part Uber driver, and then I'm a banker. And then in the off time, hopefully I'm being somewhat of a decent husband to my wife. And, those things would sound cool, but what am I going to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go do that? I did that, by the way. I used to do that. I used to get up at 3 o'clock to go run. I don't want that life. That's not an optimal way to live my life. And it doesn't support my values.
Do you remember when I started to fall apart last year? When I just could not recover. And I just got more and more depressed, more and more beat up. And it's why I left CrossFit, right? Because I was unable, and it's not CrossFit's fault, but I was unable to pace myself if I'm working out with anyone else. I have a hard enough time not killing myself when it's just me.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I say that we have the explosive gene and personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so more of what, just for the listeners, more of what Matt and I do for each other is just say, come back, just take a step back off the cliff, right? You don't need to be 100%. 90 or 95 is good. And so let's talk about that, because number one, we'll talk more about health, but fitness within a values-based mindset is not the primary value. It's important, but it's got to support your spiritual, mental, relational, and professional. And I think what people don't understand when they look at fitness is they don't understand how to leverage fitness while accelerating in all the other areas. And so a great example, a guy that you and I know, another dude named Matt, right? Really good spiritual, really good relational, really good professional, and trying to figure out how to improve in those things. He really wanted to be better relationally, spend more time with his family, but he worked a lot. I challenged him on strength. We had various conversations about it. He's a great coaching client of mine, good guy. He'll be on the podcast soon. And I just said, the problem that you have is that on the physical side, you are extraordinarily weak. And you know it. You're not capable of acting out your values and protecting your family, being ready to help other people. Because I knew this guy. He's a great dude. You've met him. And if something happened,
fantastic guy.
If something happened where he needed to express himself physically, he would do it, period. Nelly bar the door, he would jump in the water, he would jump in traffic, he'd do it. But I told him, I said, the challenge that you have is you're not prepared. And that is a bad place to be. And he was not very appreciative of me pointing that out. But he undertook a process, and I'm here to tell you, he might be aesthetically in better shape than both of us.
Probably is.
Right? He's lean. And I told him, I said, look, the goal for the next year is to add 10 pounds of lean muscle. I said, because aesthetically for you, that would be a massive game changer. I said, the face, oh, well, we can't do anything about it. But like an extra little bit of muscle in particular areas will really help you.
Yeah.
He just had his best year ever. He spent more time at home than he ever has. Like 2019 was amazing. You know, didn't miss a game, all these things. And I said, well, what did we change? And I knew it. And he's like, you know what? The biggest difference was working out. I said, how did that express itself? Well, because we weren't killing him ever, except the one time he challenged me on the assault bike. And then that was a bad thing for him. It was bad. Don't challenge the big muscular guy on an assault bike. Just not good. He was never cognitively destroyed. And as he got more and more fit, he got more and more stuff done, was able to make better and better decisions. And that's really what I want people to understand if they've listened this long. And you can talk about it as well. Training is not exercising. It's exercises within a program designed to achieve a particular result. And when it comes to the values-based mindset experience, a particular result that doesn't go too far in any direction. Something you and I talk about is the appropriate stimulus.
I couldn't agree more. And I actually thought about it a lot today because, like I said, I sprinted this morning and I went hard, and then I lifted, this afternoon. And the reason I lifted this afternoon was because this was the only day I had to get it in. Because I have a home gym and I can do pretty much everything I need to do except for back squat, because I don't have a rack yet in my home gym, or bench press. And so I felt like, hey, I got to do this today or it's not going to get done this week, and wrong mindset. Because here's the deal. Here's the litmus test. And this is the dichotomy again. What's worse, being too weak to express your values, or being too beat up and wrecked because you're just chasing strength. So, I walked out of the gym and I immediately knew I had messed up my back and my shoulder a little bit by pushing myself too hard today.
And hurt your chest.
The back is going through to the chest. Yeah. But what I thought was, well, if I had to defend, I'm taking my wife out tonight for our 15th wedding anniversary. We're going to go out and have a nice dinner. But if somebody stepped to me and my wife on the street and they attacked her and I had to fight, I mean, I'm going to do it, and they're going to be sorry. But the reality of it is I'm not optimally set up to do it right now because I'm hurt, because it hurts to move this way, right? And so if I had to throw a punch, or I had to push somebody away, or I had to wrestle them to the ground, I've got some limiting pain right now because of the fact that I pushed myself so hard today, and because of the
adrenaline to take care of that.
Well, yeah. I think a Manhattan would take care of that. But the reality of it is, though, is that that's not a good place to be, and that's outside my value system. And so I think what you're saying is very important for people to hear, because there's a group of people who are listening to this who are going, hey, how do I get started with fitness? I just I need to lose 20 pounds, or I need to feel better about myself and the way I look and all that, which is the aesthetics are important. I mean,
it is very important.
It's important. Like, I'm a business guy, just like the guy you're talking about. And like, when I walk into a client's office, I want to project a confident, healthy, strong image, so that person knows that I'm the kind of guy that if I got to sit up until 2:00 in the morning and work on something for them, damn it, I'm going to do that, because I've got that kind of energy and reserve to do it. Now, having said that, you can go down a path with the image and with the aesthetics that's not a productive place to be either. And that leads to body dysmorphia and eating disorders and all types of horrible crap we can talk about on another podcast.
Been there.
Here's the bottom line. Figure out your value system first, then build your fitness routine around that, and put some triggers in place so that when you stray, either when you're not pushing hard enough or when you're pushing too hard. Because I have to have a little sign on my phone that says, "You're not Jocko."
Yeah, luckily you have a friend that calls you almost every day.
Yeah, and tells me, "You're not Jocko." You're not David Goggins. I admire those guys. I follow their content because I admire their mindsets. But I'm not an elite Navy SEAL. I'm not an elite anything. I'm a regular average. I'm elite at being average. That's the reality of it. And that's okay. But I also got to remember that I got to operate within a certain set of parameters, or I'm going to hurt myself. And so we don't work out to be broken. We work out to be fit.
Yeah. I think just to rehash what you just said, and just to kind of wrap it up, values-based mindset is not about one value. It's about really exploring inside yourself what is your unique expression of your unique humanity. You know, we're both men of faith. We both believe that every single human being that's ever lived was put here on purpose and has value just in that element. And then, you know, some of them are douchebags and, oh, well, they're not. Seriously, you know, every human being starts off valuable because they were created. Like, you've got consciousness, you've got these things. But when it comes to fitness, which is a huge way to massively accelerate growth or massively train wreck growth, right? And the values, not habits, not systems, not, you know, but values, I believe, are the greatest way. Because when we approach fitness within the values-based mindset experience, we're basically asking people to design a mindset that includes fitness that they're willing to do for the rest of their life. We're not looking for a short-term fix, because diets fail. Short-term psychotic exercising fails because it's not something that you're going to sustain. We're here for the incremental change. I was talking about sales prospecting with a client today that's a financial advisor. And I said, you need to tell your team that the secret to prospecting is the same secret to investing. You would never take all of your clients' money that they're going to contribute in a year in one day. You would never do that because there's too much risk. What if you had the wrong day? Like, instead, you want that money to be invested systematically, right? Over a longer period of time, so you can capture the natural or unnatural fluctuations of the market. I see one coming up November 4th, potentially, right? But
only if there's not a clear winner. I don't think the market can care.
But,
yeah.
you know, all jokes aside, is
Yeah.
like fitness is the same thing. It's about dollar cost averaging. You don't have to put everything in the market in one day. What you need to do is consistently invest in things you believe, your values,
Yep.
over an extended period of time without taking on too much risk. And the risk in fitness is not recovering.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why, you know, look, I get it. Nobody wants to spend more money. And you don't need a coach. You don't need one. It's the reality is you don't need one. There's plenty of information out there. You know, you can read it for yourself.
Sure.
The thing that a coach brings to the table is the coach keeps you emotionally honest about what you're doing and why you're doing it. They keep you focused on the plan. They slap your wrist when you deviate from the plan, either on the lower end of the intensity spectrum or the higher end. And that's important because, you know, you can't be consistent if you are broken.
Right.
Consistency is the key to everything in life. That's actually one of my core values is consistency. And I violate it, and I violated it today, quite frankly. And, you know, and sometimes it's okay to do that. You know, like you have your birthday, like I like to do a big birthday workout, and my birthday workout is like, you know,
insane.
Yeah. It's like, it's just short of something you would do on purpose to injure yourself. But the purpose of it is to remind myself of my mortality and my limitations. And also that I have the ability to mentally push past some of those limitations when I apply myself. And that's why I only do a workout like that, you know, a couple times a year, even though I only have one birthday a year. But you have to do Murph, and Murph kind of qualifies as one of those too. So the values-based mindset is a system. It's not a single value, and it's not about how many values. It's about what fits your system based on the way you see the world, based on the way you interpret, both the external and the internal, and then you leverage those things to kind of get to your version of success, whatever the heck that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's also not about telling you that, you know, this version of success is good and this is bad. It's not about telling you that you shouldn't want to be a marathon runner because running is bad. No, if that's what you truly want and that's what you truly love, then that's fine. If you want to be a professional power lifter and you want to weigh, 800 pounds so you can deadlift 1,200 pounds, if that's what you're passionate about, then the values-based mindset system will help you get there too. Yeah. It's about identifying what's important to you and not attaching some type of morality around that. And I think that's the problem these days is people, whatever, self-improvement system they have, it's all about, right, wrong, good, bad. You know, if you value money, then value money. You know, that's fine.
It's your life. I mean, yeah, it's the only thing I could possibly add is like my decision to compete in a powerlifting tournament is solely because A, I'm good at lifting weights. B,
Good reason.
I just thought to myself that I would regret not having done it at least once. Now, is it the optimal thing for me to be doing for the next 3 months? No, it's not. It's not terrible. And the reason being is I I I do have an idea of what total I would like to get. I admit it, like, you know, but we'll see if I get there or not, because I'm not going to compromise my cognitive performance to get there. I'm not going to compromise my marriage, my son, my friends, or all of my clients in the values-based mindset experience. So like the performance that I have the day on the platform will be done without degrading everything else.
So let me tell you and share with you and whoever's listening, you know, I think what you just said is so important. And I think people need to really make sure they heard what you just said. It's not the optimal thing for you to be doing right now. And you're going to make sure that it doesn't destroy other aspects of your life that are important to you. But you're going to do it because it's something that you feel like you need to achieve in this lifetime. And so I told you I ran a marathon. I'm never going to run another marathon. I mean, I feel pretty confident in saying that at this stage of the game. And I ran that marathon, and I ended up in the medical tent afterwards, and they wanted to give me IVs, which I was not, you don't run 26 miles to let somebody stick some surgical steel in your body. I said, hell no, by the way, I'll drink the damn water. Like, you'll throw it up. I said, I'll drink the damn water. I just ran 26 miles. I can drink a bottle of water. And what that marathon did for me, though, is that at different points in my life, when I was struggling in my marriage, when I was struggling in my business, when I was struggling personally with, you know, my own situation and my own self and caught up in my head, I could look at that 26.2 sticker on the back of my car, or I could look at the shirt that I got when I ran that marathon, and I could say, you know what, I can hang in there a little while longer. Because I remember wanting to die that day. I remember wanting to quit that day. I remember wanting to, you know, I mean, I saw people quit. I saw people fall down on the ground in pain. I saw people hurt, and I wanted to stop, and I kept pushing myself. And if I never, ever run a mile again, it will have been worth running that marathon, so that I know in the back of my head that when it gets hard, I can hang in there just a little while longer. And that's all success really is. And that's what values-based minds, and that's why I have adopted this system, and it's been successful in my opinion, is because what it did was it took that event and it broke it down and helped me turn it into a system that now I understand why I'm focused on those things, why that's important to me.
Exactly.
You know, that's it. It's not magic, but it works great.
You know, it's so interesting. And like one last thing is, sometimes people ask me, why am I able to be so intense and so committed to things? Like, why can I bring that kind of wild abandon to certain things? And I think for me, it goes back to parachuting, for being a paratrooper. Like, you know, you got a ton of gear on you, you're uncomfortable, you know, you're not doing a fancy pants parachute where it's going to be nice. You know, there's going to be a bad end. The ending, like it's like jumping off a 3-story building every time, right? But the mental strength that I have from facing fear, because there's no guarantee when you parachute, none. And I saw bad stuff happen and almost had something bad happen to me. But it's so interesting when I get around other paratroopers, not sports parachutists, but paratroopers, where you understand it's about combat. We all are capable of manufacturing a level of intensity that is rare. Now, it needs to be channeled correctly, because that's how I get injured all the time. Like, I've been spending 20 years trying to change my I'm going 150% mentality, which will give me a victory honestly in competition sometimes in one event, and then I'm out, right? I'm done. Anyways, last thing that you would say to the listeners, like about fitness and values.
Go for a run.
Wow. I'm so disappointed in you.
No, I think the last thing, whether you go for a run or you jump on the assault bike or you pick up a kettlebell, do it with intention and do it with purpose and do it and celebrate the fact that you can do it, because you know what, there's people out there who can't do it. And, we joked about Mike's knee, but I don't give him too hard of a time about running because I'm sensitive to the fact that he's got a messed up knee and, he really can't go for a 3-mile run.
I would love to.
And it's like, look, every time I get to go run and I bitch and moan about like, oh, I should have run faster or farther or whatever. No, I got to go run. I got to go run today, and I got to lift some weights today. And, so celebrate it, man. Celebrate it, do it with intention, and then leverage it in every other aspect of your life.
Yeah. Be human. And on that note, thanks for appearing, Matt. Appreciate it.